It was the first Sunday in February, just before the Super Bowl kickoff on February 7th, when the chaos began. I was halfway through my shift at the Pizza Hut in Clermont, Florida, a single-story building perched along a busy strip with bright red awnings pointing east toward Lake Mineola. Inside, the warmed-by-the-hour aroma of pizza dough, melting cheese, and tomato sauce filled the air. The dining room lights were dimmed to give off a cozy game night vibe. It was 5 p.m., and the restaurant was packed. Families, teens, and a few solo watchers mixed with employees juggling orders. Every table was filled, the phones were ringing non-stop, and the ovens hadn't gotten a moment's rest since noon. I stood at the counter, taking orders and coordinating carryouts as the store manager, Christine, processed deliveries from the back. The Super Bowl had created a frenzy. People wanted pizzas customized, extra toppings, different crusts. Nothing was ordinary anymore. The kitchen hummed behind me, and employees darted from the prep area to the ovens, balancing piping hot boxes. I remember wiping sweat off my forehead with my sleeve between customers, praying silently we wouldn't run out of dough. In the middle of it all, a man stepped up to the counter. Tall, mid-40s, wearing a fitted black jacket and jeans, he stared at the menu with narrowed eyes. His build was lean, sharp. Behind him, his wife hovered close, arms folded, phone in hand, clearly ready to record. Her lips were pressed thin, eyes cold. They both looked like they'd rather be anywhere else. "Large pepperoni pizza," he said curtly through the meeting hour noise. "Extra cheese, no mushrooms. Plain." His tone brooked no argument, as if the difference between extra and light was a personal matter of principle. I nodded and keyed in the order, glancing up for the first time, and in that moment it happened. His voice shifted from clipped to explosive. "No onions." I said, "No mushrooms." He slammed his palm flat on the counter, rattling the pen cup and sending stray napkins fluttering. "Do you understand me?" Heads turned. It was like he'd shot a starter pistol in a library. I stammered an apology and double-checked the order. Christine poked her head into view. "Sir, your pizza is cooking now. It's fine." Her voice was calm, but her posture stiffened. The man leaned in closer, voice dropping to a low growl. "If it's wrong, I want it fixed. Right now." A teenage cashier, Maria, shot me a terrified look. I took the moment and tried to diffuse the tension. "We'll double-check. I'm sorry for the confusion." The man snorted. "Don't do that." His voice was icy. Nearby, a toddler stared at him in wide-eyed innocence, and the mother nervously shielded the kid with her purse. We called back to the kitchen to hold the pizza. Christine blocked the man's view with her body. "Ma'am, I'll personally make sure your order is right." The man huffed and stepped aside, pulling his wife closer. The rest of us exhaled. For a moment, nothing happened. Then it erupted. The man stormed back up to the counter, vengeful and wild, and his wife hit record. "This is harassment," he barked at Christine. "You're harassing me." Christine's face went stiff. She crossed her arms, chin raised, eyes steady. I watched as the man picked up an empty monitor, a thin screen used for in-store specials, and flung it across the counter with reckless speed and fury. The screen hit the floor and splintered. The impact shook the tile. Gasps filled the room. Dishes rattled in the kitchen. At least 50 eyes locked on him. I froze, hands clutching the register. Behind me, Maria covered her mouth. The buzz of the ovens had stopped. A delivery driver stood by the drink cooler, unmoving, one foot caught mid-step. The pregnant manager, careful with her posture but fierce in her stance, stepped forward. She placed her hand on his chest and said evenly, "Sir, stop. If you don't leave, we'll call the police." He ignored her. Instead, he pointed at her belly. "Maybe you're the one that shouldn't be here." His words were low, but heavy with menace. Christine didn't blink. "I don't know what you want," she said, "but we're closing your order now. It will be done or not at all, and I suggest you leave." Something in her tone, an unshakable calm, cut through the adrenaline. The man finally stepped back, his face flushed with rage, chest heaving. The wife grabbed his arm, her fingernails dug in like claws. "Let's go," she snapped. He paused, swung his head back toward us. "She'd better eat that pizza." His eyes flicked to me. Then they stormed out. Silence filled the space they left. Christine lowered her voice next, but with purpose. "Everyone okay?" Maria nodded, voice cracking. A shift leader gathered us and directed us to document the scene. I called the owner and the cops. I kept Christine's calm in my head, how she demanded the respect we gave to a flag, something primal in her defense of her staff. The cops arrived within minutes. They took our statements, grabbed video footage, cataloged shrapnel from the broken monitor. I answered questions with Christine at my side. At one point, the man's license plate was run, but when they checked it, he had no warrants. He wasn't on any watch lists. Just angry, entitled, volatile. We closed early. Maria was too shaken to stay. I walked the store with her and the other staff, restocking and cleaning up. We didn't speak much. All of us were processing the rage that had stormed through. I lingered by the shattered monitor, the glare of the smashed plastic screen dull under overhead lights. It felt like witnessing someone stepping beyond decency, crossing from annoyance into violence in an instant. I thought of Christine, her belly barely showing, defending us from that blow. She had risked her body in the moment and called him out with no visible fear. 2 hours after closing, I stepped outside for air. The parking lot was empty now, the neon sign flickering red in the rainy mist that fell steadily. The anger had washed away, but its echo, like footsteps chasing me in empty rooms, stayed. "Scary," Maria whispered. I nodded, returning to the store for the final lock, thinking of Christine's words. "We'll be okay." Every time I've gone back to that location since, I've noticed that same patch of tile where the monitor broke. The surface still chipped, still shiny. It sits as a reminder, rage can manifest in seconds. Titles and statuses don't matter. And sometimes, courage is asking someone to leave while facing them with nothing but conviction. I keep in touch with Christine. She left pregnant a few months later. Her son arrived healthy. She told me later that day, after everything, she realized the kind of mother she'd be. Protective, steadfast, unyielding. I don't know if the man ever warmed his pizza that night or if he even thought twice about the broken glass under his heels. But I remember Christine's words when I heard he had threatened us again in a voicemail to corporate. "I'd drag your ass into the parking lot and destroy you." But I didn't. Because sometimes what it really takes to stop a storm is the refusal to be afraid of it. And to make it clear, you do not scare me. Nick. It was a Tuesday evening in late September, a night when the air still carried the humidity of summer into early fall. I was working the 10 p.m. 2 a.m. delivery shift at the Pizza Hut on Lakeshore Drive in Birmingham, Alabama, a moderately busy location that served both late-night students and parents grabbing dinner after evening activities. The store always felt buzzy during the early part of my shift, but after midnight, it quieted down, leaving behind a steady rhythm of door chimes and pizza boxes sliding onto hot bags. At around 10:45 p.m., the online orders slowed to a trickle, and the manager, a calm, good-natured guy named Eric, suggested I take a drive break before the next order came in. I grabbed a Mountain Dew, stepped into my car, a well-worn, dependable but dated Honda Civic, and headed for a spot a few blocks over that often helped reset my head. I checked my phone while sipping the soda, scrolling through music playlists and chatting with my girlfriend. At exactly 10:59 p.m., my app pinged with a new delivery about 12 minutes out on Highway 280. I jammed the Civic into gear, double-checked my insulated bag, and hit the road. The instructions said pull up to the gray house on an unlit side street lined with mature oaks, just on the outskirts of Trussville city limits. GPS guided me down winding turns, and I pulled into the driveway, bright porch light barely illuminating the faded siding and unshoveled steps. I grabbed the pizza, extra large supreme with thick crust, just as the app directed, and stepped onto the porch. A woman in her mid-50s answered. She had tired eyes, long gray hair tucked into a ponytail, and held out an envelope to me. I handed over the pizza, took the envelope, and gave a smile. $450. Her voice was gravelly but firm. "Sorry?" I asked, glancing at the envelope. $450, she repeated, "as soon as you step off my porch and back into your car. Now." Some felt wrong immediately. The app had said $23.75. "I think there's a mistake," I said calmly. "My app says $23.75. She slammed the envelope into my hand. I'll say it one more time. My heart thudded. I looked back at the Civic, parked on a shadowed stretch of driveway. The trees swayed in the moonlight. I swallowed. "Where did that number come from?" I whispered. She leaned closer, cutting a silhouette in the porch light. $500 or I keep the pizzas. That got my pulse hiking. I'm Marcus, by the way, 22, a college student working full-time at Pizza Hut to pay for school. I didn't even blink, but I had to make a choice fast. Fight on her porch and get the worst Yelp review ever, or give in. I pulled out a 20 and handed it back. I don't have that kind of money. She grunted and took the cash. Then walk away. I turned, not believing any of this was happening, but halfway down the driveway, I saw a second figure step onto the porch. Tall, heavy-set man wearing a cheap, dark jacket, arms full of tools. I froze. The man nodded at me and walked back inside without speaking. I rushed back to the road and started the car. As I slid into the driver's seat, I heard it. Click. The door snapped locked behind me. I hit the ignition and the engine caught. I turned the wheel and saw headlights swing onto the driveway. They were low beams, some kind of tow truck. Perfect, I muttered, breathing shallow. The truck inched forward, strobed lights casting brief orange glimmers across the pavement. The driver climbed down from the cab. He was about 35, short hair, a faded work shirt with Drew's Towing embroidered above the front pocket. I cracked the window. "Hey, thanks for stopping by. I thought I had a flat." He looked at me with a half smile. "I've been driving past, your front left sitting low, tire pressure lights probably on, right?" My relief was instant. "Yeah, exactly." He leaned in. "Mind stepping out so I can take a look?" My mind raced. I glanced at the rearview mirror. No lights from the house, no one watching, but those lights from the tow truck cast deep shadows in the undergrowth. I slipped out and followed him to the front passenger side. He crouched. "Let me just test your tire with this gauge." He pulled out a long silver tool. He placed it to the valve and pulled hard. The tire groaned. At least there was some airflow. He looked at me. "You got cash to pay for the service?" I shook my head. "No, actually, manager handles everything." His smile stopped. He closed the gauge, tucked the tool in his pocket. "No service? Then I can't help you." "Wait, I'm sorry, I don't know what you need from me," I said. He stood and walked toward my door. The streetlights caught the tilt of his jaw. I felt panic. I responded, "I have $80 cash I can give you. You do the air, fill it up, just please. I'm alone at night." He studied me, then reached inside the truck and pulled a large roll of cash from his jacket pocket. 500s, hundreds, 20s. He counted roughly $500. My chest tightened even further. "80's not enough," he said, voice low. "What about 500?" That was it. They were working together. The woman had sent him for a second serving. I stepped back. "I don't have that much." He smiled, low and cruel. "We'll see." He reached for the door handle, but I was quicker. I slammed to the truck bed, yanking keys from ignition before he could react. The tow truck's alarm sound engaged, a harsh, echoing beep. The man froze. In that moment, I swung the Civic into reverse, turning the wheel and gunning the engine. The truck's mirror clipped my driver's side rear quarter panel with a loud crack, but I didn't stop. I threw it into drive, rubber melting as I tore away into the night. Cold rain mixed with my sweat as I hit 280 North, praying I'd make it to a gas station or lighted intersection. My phone pinged with a message, again from the woman's number. "Nice car. Be careful next time." Beneath it, a dropped call number I didn't recognize. I pulled into an open Walmart parking lot 5 miles down. I sat, heart pounding, lights flashing across the windshield, then dialed 911. I explained everything, even how I'd unintentionally assaulted a tow truck. The dispatcher waited calmly, then said, "Help is on the way." Then he asked for a location. The police and the real tow arrived 45 minutes later. They found the damaged Civic, the black truck still idling in apparent coverage. My story matched the dashcam footage, and the truck's license came back as stolen. Registration expired, no insurance. The next few nights, I replayed every moment, the glimpse of the envelope, the way the tow guy's face didn't match the name on his shirt, the threat from the porch. It was like living in someone else's nightmare. I lost my entire college savings that night. The stolen $500 never showed up again. The tow truck? Abandoned, later towed legitimately, full of unclaimed cash, matching the serial numbers on my stolen bills. I kept working at Pizza Hut. Customers came and went, but I could never turn off the tension. Every knock at the car window after midnight had the shape of that man, that woman, those blank eyes waiting for money. That night taught me something simple and terrifying. No matter how routine your job or how safe your route seems, people can prey on you in a second, and they don't need costumes or knives. They just need desperation and the right setup. I learned to lock my doors, even at deliveries, even on quiet streets. I carry pepper spray now, and I leave a note on my mirror, "Trust your gut," because trust saved me. But it didn't bring back what I lost, and it didn't wash away the look on that tow guy's face when he realized I wasn't paying $500 tonight. Most people think managing a fast food restaurant just means keeping the drive-thru moving, making schedules, and counting cash drawers. What they don't see, what no one tells you, is that sometimes the people you hire bring more than just a bad attitude or poor work ethic. Sometimes they bring violence. This happened in 2017 when I was a general manager at a Pizza Hut location in Pueblo, Colorado, a pretty standard spot. Not next to any malls or theaters, but close enough to a few high schools that we stayed busy with takeout and after-school rushes. My name's Denise, and I was 31 at the time. I'd worked my way up from cashier to assistant manager to GM in less than 6 years. I took pride in my team and didn't tolerate any safety violations or drama in the kitchen. That mindset kept the place running smooth until I had to fire someone I never should have hired in the first place. We'd brought in a new line cook named Trey during a hiring push in July. He was 24, stocky, with a shaved head, a goatee, and this twitchy energy like he was always either about to tell a joke or start a fight. His references checked out, former fast food spots, nothing fancy, and he passed the background check. For the first few weeks, he was solid, showed up early, stayed late, didn't complain, but that wore off fast. By late August, he was slipping, not following food safety procedures, skipping hand washing between tasks, showing up with alcohol on his breath. I gave warnings, documented everything. I didn't want to let him go during a busy week, but I couldn't justify keeping him around with minors on the team and a health inspection coming up. So I sat him down on a Thursday after the dinner rush and told him it was over. He didn't say a word. Not okay, not screw you. Just stood up, stared at me for a few seconds longer than was comfortable, and left. He didn't slam the door or knock over a chair. He just walked out with this weird stillness that made my stomach twist. One of my shift leads, a kid named Omar, asked, "He cool?" And I nodded, pretending I wasn't unsettled. I chalked it up to pride. Nobody likes getting fired, especially when they've got a record of slipping up. We changed the locks that weekend. Not because I thought he was coming back, but because corporate had approved new digital entry codes and we were due for a safety update anyway. I didn't think about Trey again until the night he came back. It was the following Wednesday. We closed at 11 p.m. on weeknights, and I was staying late to help clean since 2 of my closers had called off. Omar was mopping the back hallway, and I was finishing up cash counts in the office. Door cracked open so I could still hear the kitchen. The dining room lights were already off, and the last delivery had gone out 20 minutes earlier. At 11:38, I heard the side door near the back stockroom creak open. Not the front, where customers come in, but the side exit that led into the alley behind the dumpster. Employees used it for smoke breaks. I assumed Omar had stepped out, so I called, "Hey, can you toss the cardboard when you're done?" No answer. I stood up, walked through the kitchen. "Omar?" Silence. My footsteps echoed. Then I saw him. Omar was in the mop closet, AirPods in, swiping through his phone. He looked up and took one earbud out. "What's up?" "You just came in through the side, right?" He frowned. "Nah, been here the whole time." That's when I felt it, that weird shift in the air, like something just walked across your grave. I turned toward the stockroom. We kept a padlock on the back door, but it didn't always catch if you didn't slam it shut. I walked slowly over, flipped the light on. The lock was hanging open. My heart started to pound. I turned to Omar. "Lock the front door. Now." He didn't ask why. He saw the look on my face and moved. I stepped cautiously back through the kitchen, grabbed the emergency flashlight from above the prep table. It was heavier than it looked, and quietly pushed open the walk-in cooler door just to be safe. No one. I moved toward the storage hallway where we kept dry ingredients and cleaning supplies. That's when I heard something shift, a soft thump like a foot dragging over a box. I raised the flashlight. Then Trey stepped into view. His face was flushed, eyes glassy. He held something in his right hand, a wooden broomstick handle, cracked and splintered at one end. He was breathing hard. "Why'd you do it?" he asked. I didn't respond. "You know I needed this job," he said again, stepping closer. "You didn't even warn me, just cut me loose." I held the flashlight tight, backing toward the fryer area. "Trey, you need to leave, right now." He shook his head. "Nah, you owe me." Before I could say anything else, he lunged. The first hit caught me in the ribs. I dropped the flashlight and stumbled backward into the metal prep rack, sending trays clattering to the floor. I screamed, loud, and heard Omar shout from the lobby. Trey raised the broomstick again. This time I ducked, grabbing a pizza screen from the sink and hurling it at his face. It didn't stop him, but it bought me a second. I dove toward the office, slipped on the wet floor, and hit my head on the corner of the desk as I fell. Everything blurred. I don't remember the exact order of what happened next. Omar must have run outside and called 911 because when I came to, 2 officers were dragging Trey out in handcuffs, yelling nonsense about how it wasn't supposed to go down like that. Paramedics checked my ribs, 3 cracked, and stitched up a small gash above my eyebrow. My jaw was dislocated but not broken. They kept me overnight for observation. Trey had been hiding behind the dumpster, waiting for someone to prop the back door open during cleanup. Turns out he'd been fired from 3 previous jobs for similar behavior. His references? Fake. The background check had missed prior misdemeanor charges from another state. He served time for assault with a deadly weapon, unlawful entry, and attempted battery. He never apologized. I heard he took a plea deal and moved out of state after his release. As for me, I came back to work 6 weeks later. Omar got promoted to shift lead. We installed extra security cameras and added a buzzer system to the back door. But the scars stayed with me, both the visible ones and the kind that show up in nightmares when you least expect them. I still work for Pizza Hut. I manage 2 stores now. I keep a closer eye on hiring, I watch body language more, and I never ignore that feeling in my gut again, because sometimes the worst things don't sneak up on you in the dark. They look you dead in the eye and walk right through the door.